All right, hey guys, my name is Mike Taylor. I'm doing tutorials for ARC 215 on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. If you don't have me, that's cool. You can also play along with these little tutorials. My plan is to kind of help along with the process, to do a couple videos here and there to kind of help us through the process of getting some of this stuff done for ARC 215. This is just to get us started. I know last week, if you had me in class, we didn't have any content. So today I have some content for us from our Tuesday class. It is, of course, similar to the other classes, if not the same. And what we'll do is I wanted to start us out with just doing a little site model, a little site piece inside of AutoCAD, and there was definitely some interest in getting together some stuff for Revit as well. So what I'd like to do today is spend 5 minutes maybe just trying to get the AutoCAD stuff up and running, and then another 5-10 minutes getting our Revit content sorted out. It's totally up to you. Revit is optional. It is not a requirement of the course. But, from my perspective, I've used Revit for the last 10 or 15 years. AutoCAD is still in use a little bit. I would argue not as much as Revit is. Revit has really taken over. So, again, it's at your discretion. If you're more comfortable drawing in AutoCAD, that's also totally cool. So what I'd like to do is get us started inside of the AutoCAD space. And then what we'll do is we'll jump into Revit for those of us that want to do the Revit version. I'll try and keep it brief. I look forward to comments, criticisms, questions about these tutorials. They are going to be posted on YouTube on a unlisted, basically a private channel. So I'll post them as they kind of come up, as questions come up. This is usually what I do in the Revit courses that I teach, just to kind of give you guys the space to pause, rewind, stop me at any time. And, sometimes I say things too quickly, or maybe I'm going too slowly. You want to speed things up. These videos, these little tutorials are a way for you to do that. So they're all going to be catered to the 215 Mass Timber office building that we've got. So some updates. The big update is that we still need to get a formal address for the site. I think that's going to be helpful for us just to understand where are we? Where are we in the city? What are kind of adjacent buildings? This type of thing. That's what I would suggest on any project. I should have started with, for those of you who don't have me, I was an architect. I am an architect in the city of Toronto. I've been doing this for a long time. So I want you guys to have the support that you need from somebody who had, we'll say, 15 years of experience in the field of architecture. So if I do have any, questions about the way that the site looks or this type of thing, I'm going to address those questions to Elnaz, who is doing our lecture format, and then we'll kind of all meet back together and make sure that we're all on the same page. So that all being said, why don't we get started here? I'm going to grab my, show you guys where I'm at here. I'm on Blackboard, and the first thing we're going to do is make sure we've got our little 3D site PDF downloaded. This is a little tutorial. There are some things that I'd like to cover inside of this 3D site piece. And then make sure you've also got the Humber Arc AutoCAD template for 2025 downloaded somewhere easily accessible for us. So this little DWG file right here. So once we have those in hand, I'm going to pop them open. So if you do see me using, it's a software called Bluebeam. This is something that I would recommend everybody download. You can get a free copy as students. It's just way better than Adobe Acrobat. So I encourage you to download it. You get a free copy as a student. You'll have to email them. You have got to email Bluebeam to say, hey there, I'm a student. I'd like a free copy. Otherwise, it's like $100, I think, something like that. So I don't want anybody, do not pay for it. You should be able to get it free as a student. It's not on the Humber computers. But back to that, 15 years experience that I've got in working in Toronto, Bluebeam is hands down the best markup software that you can use. in terms of PDF markups. There are other softwares. I'm not going to talk about them right now, but Bluebeam is going to be great for us. So just briefly getting through our little PDF here, we've got 3D site. This is the exercise. So let's see how far we can get. Like I said, I'm going to try and keep it to 5 or 10 minutes. I realize I'm already blowing through that time here. What do we need to do? We're going to build a little site plan, something like this. If I zoom in a little bit. If you've not seen these, hopefully you've seen them, but I know my class on Tuesday wouldn't have seen this yet. We've got little bearings here. So north 70 degrees, 15 minutes west, and then a dimension of 80.2 meters or 80,200 millimeters. And we're going to talk a little bit about what those values mean. All right, you get a little forest in Maine. This is back to the comment on where is the building. So I'm getting some feedback on where the formal address is, so we can maybe get a little bit of an idea of where we are. Are we in Toronto? Or are we outside of Toronto? Or are we in Pickering? Or are we in Mississauga? Where do we live? Where does our building live? This would be one of the big questions for us as we draw the site. We probably want to know where it is, so we're trying to get that information. Forest, Main Street. What else do we have? We've got these bearings here. You can see we got one bearing. If I make a little bearing 1, bearing 2, bearing 3, and you'll notice we're missing a bearing on the kind of eastern edge of the property line here. That's okay. We're just going to say, let's connect them. Let's connect them. What else do we have? We've got some dimensions here. So we got some dimensions for our sidewalk width, so 3,500 for the width of the sidewalk, 13,000, so 13 meters for the roadway, and then another 3,500 millimeter sidewalk on the other side. A little curb radius here, so 6 meters. I believe that that's going to be this value here. So this is our 6 meter curb radius. So we'll make sure that we've got that all sorted out. Good information, right? So first thing we're going to do is let's pop open our AutoCAD. And so I've actually already got the template open, but let's, I'm going to close this just so we can see. Oh, I should close this too. That's okay. Do I want to save this? Yes. Let's make sure that we can find our template. So the way that I understand is we want to be able to open our template file, and wherever you've downloaded it, I think I've got it in my downloads folder somewhere here. Perfect. So, make sure we've got it downloaded from Blackboard, open it up, crack that open, and now it should flash us right to this kind of splash page here. I've got my properties window open here. I'm just going to move that to the side. And right away, I could see on the bottom here, I've got a couple different sheet sizes. So my A1 sheet, my Arch D sheets, I guess. So detail sheets and overall sheets here. A1, and then our model space. So I can see we've got some stuff in here. So this is our kind of our annotations and all this fun stuff for our floor plan titles. Got our annotative dimension styles, a little bit on our section types, and then we've got this is a block reference that's showing a wall type, right? And so super quick, I should probably cover this. I'll take 30 seconds doing this. These are all what are called annotative dimensions. So if you've used Revit, this is all done automatically in Revit. So this is done automatically in Revit. In AutoCAD, you must set these up. So luckily for us, they've been mostly set up. If I click on one of our little title pieces here, what do we call this? This is our drawing title. If I click on it, you'll see this kind of series of sizes, this kind of inception style of graphic here. So if I've just clicked on it once, it's going to show me all of the scales at which we've got this this title block, or excuse me, this drawing title. If we come down here to our annotation scale, I'll show you super quick in model space. What this looks like is if I want to change this to a 1:1, our drawing right now, it says it's 1:125. If I change this to 1:1, you'll see everything get really teeny tiny. And what that's doing is it's giving us an annotative style for, how big is the drawing going to be that we're doing, because that's the size of our annotation needs to change based on the scale of the drawing that we're showing, right? So if I come back here and I grab let's go back to 1 to 125, and let's go to something slightly smaller. So 1 to 200, you'll see it get a little bigger, right? So the smaller the scale, the bigger the text needs to be, right? So this is a really handy way to do things in an annotative style here. I don't want to talk too much about this. This is really about annotation, and we'll get there eventually. So let's jump into the rest of the process here. So because we don't have a formal survey, we've just got our little document for our 3D site here. What I would suggest is choose one of these points. So one of these points, maybe this one, maybe this one. Whoops, QQ. Q is a shortcut here for call out. Apologies. Maybe this one, maybe this one. Choose one of these points as our starting point. So choose them as our starting point. That will be our 0, 0. So 0, 0 is our origin. It's how we do most things. You could really draw things anywhere in this kind of model space, and we can make adjustments later. If I jump back into AutoCAD here, our 0, 0 all the way over here. So I leave it to your discretion how you would like to draw our overall site plan. I'm just going to delete that super quick. So what do we need to draw first? We need to draw our little property line. So this is pretty conventional. We want to be able to draw our property line for our project. Before we do anything else, we want to know how big is the plot of land we're going to be building this wonderful mass timber mixed use office building on. So pick, like I said, any one of these points, and I'm going to show you just one thing that I noticed as I was drawing here with our bearings. So again, our bearings are these kind of the direction and then a distance, right? So we need to be able to convey, how long is this line? So what is the information we're trying to convey? How long is this line? What is the bearing? So if you remember, physics class or, how things operate in terms of vectors, right? We need to have a dimension, which is our 71 meters, 71,320 millimeters or 71.32 meters. And then we have a direction. So we have a direction and a distance. And so how we're going to do that is we actually have to jump into AutoCAD and change one thing, and then we can change it back, but I'm going to show you how to do this real quick here, is jump in AutoCAD and type DD units, so DD units, hit enter or spacebar, crack that open, and you'll see this is our drawing units, kind of the way that we manage units inside of AutoCAD. And if I drop down here, we've got what is the angle? So what do I want to use? I actually want to drop down to use surveyor's units. So if I click this, you'll see one thing change here, right? So we have degrees and then our minutes or seconds east here. So we've got, this is how we're going to input the data for our survey into AutoCAD to give us what we need to get for our property line. So I'm going to hit OK here. Usually I'd like to see a property line. There it is. There, we got it right here. So property line layer. So good idea is to click on that property line here, and we want to be drawing on that property line layer. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And so I'm going to show you what I did, and then I'll show you there's a small hiccup here with the bearings, and I'll go through that. So if we're going to draw a polyline, so a polyline or a line, we can, you know what, let's just do it line wise, and then I'll show you what's going on. So line, or you can either type the whole thing line, or you just type L, right? Hit enter or space. What is our first point? So we're actually going to come in here, we're going to type 0, 0. So do I have 0? Okay, I don't have 0. How do I get my number lock on? Number lock. That's okay. I just got to do the old-fashioned way. 0, 0 is my first point. So I'm going to start with my 0, 0 as my first point and hit enter. Right? So now we can see that 0, 0 is my first point. Now, what do I need to do? I need to get to my second point. So depending on how you've chosen to draw this, if I jump back into my 3D site, our little PDF here, it's going to ask me for the kind of amplitude or the distance that I need to draw first. I've got 71,320 millimeters. Let's double check here. You know what? before I do this, I'm going to double check what my units are for this whole thing and make sure that what is our template units going to be. It's in millimeters. Perfect. Millimeters. Okay, just making sure. So I'm going to do that again. Line 0, 0. And then what we need to do is, in order to get the bearing and the distance, I need to type our little at symbols. So, you know, at is shift 2, right? So at, you can see here it's giving me 61 as I come out here, right? What's the amplitude here, or the total distance? I got to come back in here. What do we say? 71,320. So 71,320. That's how many millimeters I've got. And what you'll see here is if I kind of move my cursor, oh, it's not going to let me, it's locked in. So you can see over here on the right side, we've got north 6 degrees, 47 minutes west. So it's not quite the right direction. What do we need? We need north 70 degrees, 15 minutes west, I think. So let's do 70. I'm going to hit tab. So I'm in here. I'm going to hit tab. Whoops. Oh, here we go. So I hit tab. So I've got that distance locked in now. You can see that if I zoom out a little bit, my distance has been locked in. And now it's letting me choose what is the direction. So I've got north, 2 degrees, 12 west. So you can see here we've got quite a few inputs here. So I've got to do north. So, whoops. I typed instead of, I hit tab. So try not to do that. Let's do this. 71,320. Something happened. Apologies. Line, we're going to do 0, 0 at 71,320. Tab, hit tab once. And we're going to do north. So N for north, 70. And then D for degrees. And we've got 15. W. So 70 degrees, 15. Oh, I got to get my little apostrophe in there. So 15 degrees, so it's minutes, 15 minutes, 70 degrees, 15 minutes west. Hit enter. And you should see this line. Well, that looks nothing like what I drew, right? That looks nothing like what's in here. So that's okay. That is the bearing, and we'll get back on what we're actually going to do to make this work. So that line is going to be, so we had north 70 degrees, 15 west. So in fact, what is that line actually doing, right? We've got north 70 degrees, 15 minutes west. So like maps on a compass, straight up is north, a little bit left is west, right? So we could see here that we've got some interesting stuff happening. So second piece, let's draw our second line over here. We've got 56,250. So 56,250 and 19 degrees. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. 19 degrees, 45 minutes east. Holy smokes. Here we go. Let's draw our second line. We need it to be from, well, let's just double check here. So we got to make sure that we got it coming from I believe it's going to be from this side. Oh, my snaps are not on. So I got to make sure I turn on my object snaps. So turn that on, and I'm going to come back here and grab my origin point. Why did that do that? Oh, maybe there's something else living here. Line, that's okay. Let's do 0, 0, 0, 0. And what did I just say? So at 56,250. So at 56,250 tab, and then I've got my same. I need to figure out. So north 19 degrees, 45 minutes east. So let's do north. Oh my God, I've already forgotten. 19 degrees, 45 minutes east. Hit enter. Wonderful, right? So now we've got our second line. We come up. do our third line here. We've got 70 degrees, 15 minutes west, and a dimension of 80 meters, 200. So same thing here. So let's do L for a line. I'm going to click on my point here and do 80, 200. And then I got to hit tab and do, what's my direction here? So north, 70 D for degrees, 15 minutes west. And you're going to see something interesting here, which is what really confused me when I did this the first time. And we're going to hit enter. Oh, perfect. Okay, so that actually worked out. And then all we have to do is finish our line. And that should be our site. So that should be our site. So, this is one way of how we would get our bearings into a drawing. So, let's see what we got here. North. Right. Looks pretty reasonable, right? So what we're going to do now is, if you haven't seen this before, I apologize. This is a pretty quick version of doing this, but usually what happens is I use what's called the universal coordinate system. So these are the official dimensions of what those bearings look like, right? I'm not going to rotate this. So you might be inclined to say, okay, I'm just going to quickly rotate, grab my 0, 0, whoops, rotate, base point here, grab my 0, 0, hit my reference. What is happening? Get my reference in here. Apologies. And try my best to get this to 0, 0. I'm not sure why that's not working. This is usually a super straightforward way to AutoCAD change something on me. So usually you would be able just to have a reference here and make this back to 0, 0. We're not going to do that. I am going to instead use what's called the universal coordinate system. I'm going to type UCS, universal coordinate system, spacebar, or enter, and type 3. And now what I'd like to do is give myself an x-axis and give myself a y-axis. And then I'm going to type the words plan, current UCS. And now you see that I've got everything organized top down. We've got north, south, east, west. These are the true bearings. I haven't done anything to change the bearings. If I click on any of these lines now, I should see at the bottom here, I've got north 70 degrees, 15 west, correct. I've got north 70 degrees, 15 degrees west. Perfect. So you can see these lines are actually parallel, right? These two lines are parallel. And then this one is north 19 degrees, 45 minutes east. All correct, right? So what this means is now using those UCS, universal coordinate systems, we've now got the official directions and distances that we need. So that is just the property line. So I can see that we've forced this for some reason. Okay, so that all being said, this is our property line. So we've got that line represents where we've got if I jump in here to our property line, that's going to be here, 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 and here, right? Property line. Wonderful. What else we got to get in here? So for a site plan, probably a good idea if we can get our little offsets in here. So we're going to try and grab our offsets for our sidewalks and our street. And we're going to make sure that we get this all in here correct. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually offset. So remember the command for offset is either you type offset and the distance, what do you say, is 3,500. So let's grab 3,500 in here. And I got to grab my two lines, line 1, line 2, line 2. Now, let's see what we got here. Is there another layer in here that I can use for my my curbs for my site? what do we have in here? Right. So I don't see anything that I would normally use for a site in here. So for now, what I would suggest is just for now, we can always add other layers later, but I'm going to suggest that we don't force layers, and I'm going to leave this as a bilayer. And we've got these two lines here. These are going to be our curb lines. If you remember how we would actually give ourselves a little arc here, so we want to have a little arc between these in terms of the radius for our curb. If you remember the fillet tool, so F for fillet or F-I-L-L-E-T, we could type that. And it's going to ask us, we can actually provide a little radius here. So if I type radius or R, I'm going to give myself a little fillet radius of 6 meters. One line, two line, ta-da. Nice and easy, right? So in terms of what do we need next, if that's telling us, it doesn't quite look like a 6 meter curb to me, but here we go. We're going to keep going here. So we've got 13 meters across. So I'm going to offset again, keep things nice and easy. 13 meters, blam, 13, 13. Am I missing one here? So I've also got to make sure that I stretch. Okay, I guess ortho doesn't work that way anymore. Where's my ortho? Still F8. I'll stretch that across. Should probably make sure that I, stretch this one across as well, or however you like to do it. You can extend if you'd rather do it that way. So give myself a little property line down here. Now I remember, so extend. I guess I'm just going to do it this way. So I'm just going to extend these lines all the way down. So I've got my kind of cross section here, and I know that these all need to be filleted. So I should probably trim. So I'm going to trim some of these. Trim. See, we got fences in here now instead of all the fun things. Erase this. Fillet. So I'm going to fillet by 6 meters. So 6,000 millimeters here. I've got my fillet radius. And I'm going to fillet all of these to be 6 meters. Oh, I guess I've also got to do my little offset again of my 3,500 for my sidewalk. 2,500, 3,500, 3,500. Offset this one, right? Offsetting them all. And I can actually come back in. I'm going to change my fillet radius back to 0, and we can just join these two things together. You can see that doesn't quite look right, but that's what we're told. So we've got this fillet radius, this curb radius of 6 meters. Looks a little tight to me, but that's what it says it is. And that's really it, right? So that's really it in terms of like how we're going to get our property line in here. So this is really what I wanted to cover was the property line. So property line in the site. And then the second thing we want to do is our setbacks. So our setbacks are street setback this is all from the site 3D site tutorial. So we want street setbacks of 6 meters, rear and side yard setbacks of 2,500. So let's do that. We've got our little property line here. So those setbacks, that's the city requirement or the zoning requirement. So we're going to give ourselves an offset of 6 meters for the street frontages. So let's do that real quick. And then do the same thing for the back. We're going to change the offset to 2,500 for the rear piece here. So I'm going to just make a real quick fillet here of 0 and join our edges of our setback together so we get a sense of what are the setbacks for our building. I'm also going to change the layer style here from property line to, I would love to have a setback line, but I don't have one. So I'm going to make it 0 again. For some reason, this is forcing the layer. Okay, so 0. So that's really our setback line. So setback line, no setbacks required for below grade, right? I see. Okay, so there are some layers that we can create. So I'm actually not going to do this part in AutoCAD. I'd like to kind of just get our property line set up, make sure we're all cool on that part. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into Revit here so you can see how a very similar style of this is done inside of Revit. So